How's it going, everyone? The title of this video is not clickbait, it's not fake, it's not an April Fool's joke, like some people thought when I posted this on Facebook, but I am actually listing my 2008 Saab 9.3 Turbo X for sale, and I want to talk about, first off, why I'm going to be doing that. If you don't want to hear any of that, I will go ahead and put a timestamp on the screen right here to where you can skip to the part in the video where I actually read through my ad and go over everything about the car. I will have the ad also linked at the top of the description box. Over the last year or so, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that my Turbo X has been having some strange issues. Thankfully, as I mentioned in my last video and explained there, that issue is now solved. Courtesy of a new steering rack. If you want more information on what the problem was and how it was fixed, go watch that last video. So when I bought this car about 3.5 years ago, it was a dream come true. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, for those who don't know, and I actually traveled all the way across the country to Massachusetts to buy my Turbo X because they're that hard to find for sale. They don't really come up for sale very often. And it was a dream come true. I'd searched for months for this car, and when I finally found this one and got it, I was elated. I was so overjoyed. However, recently I've begun to kind of realize that it might be best to move on to a different car. Having two of a very similar car, meaning the Turbo X and my 2.0 9.3, just doesn't really make for a great variety of content on the channel. And that's not the reason I'm selling this car. Really, the reason why I'm selling this is I think it's just time to get something newer. I want to try something different. I'm not going to disclose exactly what I'm going to buy or what I'm looking at buying. I did test drive about half a dozen different cars this past weekend, and I pretty much decided exactly the car I want. So as soon as this car sells, I'm going to be hopefully purchasing one of those, and then of course I'll reveal it on the channel, make some content, and I'm sure you guys will love it. I'm not going to give any hints for now. You're welcome to guess, but again, all I'm going to say is it's something newer than this right here. And I already know that listing the Turbo X for sale is something that I'm definitely 110% going to regret in the future. These cars don't come up for sale very often, like I said, and I know I'm going to regret it because I do truly still love this car so much. So you might ask, why am I listing the Turbo X then instead of my 2.0? Well, the 2.0 kind of has that first car nostalgia that even the Turbo X can't replicate. That my 2.0 just has that little special place in my heart over the Turbo X. That and the Turbo X is worth like 3 times more than my 2.0, so that helps with the next car I'm gonna purchase. But listing this car for sale, and I want to make this very clear right now, listing this car for sale does not mean I'm quitting Saab content. I'm still going to film a ton of stuff on my 2.0, maybe future Saab projects, you know, down the road. I actually have another mod for the 2.0 that should be in the mail around the time this video is going live. So the 2.0 is definitely staying. I'm not going to get rid of it, and Saab content will 100% continue indefinitely. So there's pretty much my rationale for why I'm going to sell this car. Now, I want to go ahead and start off by saying, if you don't like the price that I'm posting this car for, don't bother. I already have some interest in it, just based off of my post on Facebook and actually before it was even posted. So I am selling it for $15,000 or best offer. This car is one of 220 or so manual Turbo X sedans. So the 6-speeds generally carry a little bit of a premium. The manuals are just more desirable. Now this one is a little bit higher miles. It's 194,000. So if you're watching this video, chances are you already know what the Turbo X is. But if you don't, the Turbo X was made only for the 2008 model year, with 600 being imported in the United States. 221 of those 600 were manual sedans like this one right here. It's kind of considered the ultimate 9.3, and the Turbo X came with a lot of unique parts that other 9.3s didn't, such as different wheels, bigger brakes, different bumpers, exhaust, carbon fiber trim, a different steering wheel, an ELSD in the back, and much more. So my particular Turbo X right here, in my opinion, kind of has all of the ideal modifications done to it. It's kind of a full bolt-on car, if you will. So I'm going to name off all the major modifications here. I do have a list of every single mod in my ad down below in the comments. I also have videos of pretty much installing every single one of these mods on my Turbo X playlist on the channel, or if you just search YouTube, it'll probably come up. But first off, it has a map tune stage 4, which brings the car's power output to 340 horsepower and about 355 foot-pounds. It has a catless Corona downpipe and midpipe, which are both no longer available, as well as a rear muffler delete. I'm sure you guys have heard this car before in other videos. It sounds absolutely amazing. It also has a full DO88 intercooler and charge pipe set, as well as the full DO88 intake set. I'm talking about all this stuff, and I realize I could just pop the hood right here and actually show you all. But here you can see what the DO88 really does to this engine bay. Just helps shine it up and make it pop on top of, you know, providing better performance. So here you have your full DO88 intake. There's a video on that. Or there's one of the DO88 charge pipes. Now I also do have an upgraded turbo. This is a custom TD04 19T. It has less than 10,000 miles on it. It also has new map tune coilovers on it. I got these coilovers about a year ago, and because I haven't really driven the car, coilovers have probably 1,000 miles on them. It also has just about brand new brakes. They're R1 Concepts slotted rotors, and I did EBC red stuff pads. Those have about 1,000 miles on them. The car also has a genuine Saab short shifter kit, genuine Saab oil and brake fluid caps, just to kind of match the DO88 and spice up the engine bay a little bit more. And it has some carbon fiber mirror caps as well. So let's talk pros of the cars. First off, the aforementioned modifications. Second off, it's pretty mechanically sound. Now that that steering issue is fixed, there aren't really any issues with this car mechanically. I also had a full cross-wheel drive service done 200 miles ago. That's about a $700 bill, so that's something that if you purchase this car, you won't have to worry about for a long time. It also has a ton of other new parts, some of which I just mentioned, but also like lower control arms, end links, a bunch of cooling system parts, hoses, things like that. It pulls hard and it shifts smooth. Condition-wise, I'd say the exterior is about an 8 out of 10, and the interior is a 9 out of 10. I'll talk more about that here in a second. I also have extensive maintenance history on this thing. Since I bought this car 3.5 years ago, every little piece of work I've done has been written down on a sheet of paper with mileage, date, and the work that was done. So you can see every little repair or modification or what have you on this car. It does also have a new-ish battery, and the battery has a 3-year warranty. The tires have above average tread left on them. You can see they're pretty decent right there. They're Continentals. The wheels were also refinished a few months after I bought the car. That was a pretty expensive job, and they still look brand new. They look better than new, in my opinion. And just the rarity of the car overall is kind of a pro, I think, and the fact that it has 2 keys. Now I want to talk about cons. First con, major con, being the mileage. This car has 194,000 miles on it. These V6s, the Turbo X's, I've seen plenty of Turbo X's out there and V6 9.3s that have well over 200,000. So it's not like this car is anywhere near the end of its life. It's been very well cared for that 194,000 miles. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what's most important. Second is the paint. So if you come around to the front bumper, you'll see that there are some rock chips. That's just kind of the perk of living in Arizona. Like right there, you got a little rock chip, and they're just kind of sprinkled out around the front bumper. The paint on the hood is also starting to go. You can see it right there. So that's not perfect. It would need to be repainted if you want an actually like perfect painted hood. And then there's a little scratch right there. There's a couple, like, can't even really see them. Like right there, you can maybe catch one of them. Little just scratches down the side of the car. Just a couple, you know, it's a 13-year-old car. Cosmetically, it's not going to be perfect. Now, hopping to the interior, when I said the interior was a 9 out of 10, really the only imperfection with the interior, as you can see, the steering wheel's in great shape. None of the buttons are peeling or anything. There's a tiny little like wear mark on the armrest. And then down here on the driver's seat bolster, you can see there's just a couple little pieces of leather that have started to fall off, but this leather is still very soft, very comfortable. I absolutely love the seats in this car. And for 194,000 miles, I mean, I'd say these seats are in spectacular condition. So a couple last things I want to talk about for this car before I wrap up this video. I do have a second set of wheels for the car. They're variant Xenons. Those were very controversial when I put them on. I could include those with the sale of the car if the buyer is interested, or I'll probably just sell them separately if not. If you are interested in them, keep in mind, if you're buying the car, I'll obviously cut you a really good deal on them. But the wheels were about $2,500 for the set retail. The tires on the wheels are not ideal for driving. I'll just leave it at that. And just to reiterate again, this car was a dream of mine to purchase when I bought it, and I really just think it's time for me to move on to something newer. And I really do hate to see this car go, and I'm 100% going to regret selling it. These manual Turbo X's do not come up for sale very often, and you would really think this car had a fraction of the miles just from looking at it. It handles very well and drives like a dream with the cross-wheel drive, and I really want to sell it to an enthusiast who's going to appreciate it just as much as I have. So once again, my price is $15,000 or best offer. I'm located out in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm not going to do any trades, and I don't want people coming out here just to kind of joyride it. Obviously, if you're from out of state and you want to come out and look at it, I'd be surprised if you're going to fly out here just to joyride it and fly back. But please only contact me about it if you're serious. And as soon as this thing sells, I'll be hopefully buying my next car and revealing it on the channel. But guys, I have filmed so much with this car. This car has been an absolute cornerstone for the channel, and part of the reason that a lot of you are probably subscribed. And you know, I hope that this doesn't bother a lot of you too much. Like I said, the 2.0 is going to be staying indefinitely. Saab content will be continuing indefinitely, but unfortunately I think it's just time I move on to something different. So with that said, please let me know what you think down below in the comments. Again, if you don't like the price, $15,000, just keep it to yourself, because I've had plenty of people tell me that that's a great price for the car. I'm not really in a rush to sell this, so whenever it goes, but I'll definitely let you all know when it is off the channel. But for now, I think that's all I've got for you all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your continued support. I wouldn't have even had this car and bought it in the first place if it wasn't for my passion for Saab that kind of grew through you guys, and even, you know, making Saab videos, and you guys loved them, so I kept making them, and then I eventually ended up with this thing. So I think you guys are partially to blame for even having this car. But thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna end this rant here. This video's been way too long. Again, link available at the top of the description for the ad if you're interested. And please email me or contact me on Instagram if you want it. And I'll see you all next time.